ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something deeper than material accomplishments, titles, or financial milestones. I want to talk about emotional destiny, the one measure of success that truly matters. Emotional destiny is the consistent emotional quality of our lives. It's how we feel day in and day out. It's our inner world, the space we live in, regardless of our circumstances. After all, what's the point of achieving everything on the outside if we feel empty, anxious, or unfulfilled on the inside? The quality of life is not solely determined by external factors such as wealth, status, or achievements, but by the emotions we experience on a daily basis. Our emotional state serves as the internal barometer of how fulfilling, meaningful, and joyful our life truly is. Emotions are the invisible threads that color our perception, guide our decisions, shape our relationships, and ultimately define the depth of our experience. When people reflect on their lives, they don't just remember what happened, they remember how they felt. This truth reveals why emotions play such a pivotal role in determining the quality of life. Consider two people with identical life circumstances, similar jobs, income levels, and family dynamics. Yet one feels grateful and enthusiastic while the other feels stressed and bitter. Their experiences of life are completely different. The one who feels empowered and joyful will see opportunity in challenges and meaning in moments, while the one consumed by anxiety or resentment will perceive the same reality as bleak and unrewarding. It's not the circumstances that differ, it's the emotions that shape their interpretation of those circumstances. In this way, emotions become the filter through which we see the world, and that filter dictates the richness or poverty of our lives. Emotions also act as signals that inform us about our needs, desires, and boundaries. Positive emotions such as love, joy, curiosity, and peace often indicate alignment with our values and a sense of connection with life. They motivate us to engage, to grow, and to contribute. On the other hand, negative emotions like anger, fear, and sadness, while uncomfortable, can serve as valuable indicators that something needs attention or adjustment. The key is not to avoid negative emotions altogether, but to understand and manage them effectively so that they don't take control of our lives. Most people believe that emotions are automatic reactions to external events, but in truth, we have far more influence over our emotional state than we think. Emotions arise not just from what happens to us, but from the meaning we assign to those events. Two people can go through the same situation and come away with very different emotional responses based on their beliefs, focus, and inner dialogue. Understanding that emotions are driven by our interpretations gives us the power to shape our emotional experiences intentionally. This power of interpretation is why mindset plays such a critical role in emotional well-being. When we focus on what's missing, what's wrong, or what's out of our control, we are likely to feel overwhelmed or defeated. But when we train ourselves to focus on what we can learn, how we can grow, and what we can appreciate, our emotions naturally shift toward the positive. The quality of our focus determines the quality of our emotions and therefore the quality of our lives. Furthermore, emotions influence every decision we make. People make choices not just based on logic, but based on how they feel or how they want to feel. A person might choose a career, a partner, or a lifestyle not because it's the most rational choice, but because it promises a certain emotional experience, security, excitement, love, or purpose. Every goal we pursue is ultimately a pursuit of emotion. We don't just want a new house. We want the feeling of pride, comfort, or success that we believe it will bring. We don't just want a relationship. We want to feel loved, valued, and connected. Emotions are the true destination behind every desire. Our relationships are also shaped and sustained by our emotional patterns. The ability to express emotions honestly, manage them constructively, and respond to others empathetically is at the core of emotional intelligence. People are drawn to those who radiate warmth, compassion, and understanding, and they often distance themselves from those who exude anger, judgment, or negativity. Healthy emotional habits create intimacy, trust, and harmony, while unhealthy ones can lead to conflict, isolation, and pain. In this way, emotions don't just affect our personal well-being, they affect the health of our connections with others. Because emotions are so influential, it becomes essential to develop emotional awareness and mastery. Emotional awareness means being in touch with what you're feeling and understanding why you're feeling it. It involves noticing patterns, identifying triggers, and observing how your emotions influence your thoughts and behaviors. Emotional mastery goes one step further. It's the ability to intentionally shift your emotional state in a way that serves your highest values and goals. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be happy all the time. Rather, it means developing the resilience and tools to move through difficult emotions and return to a place of clarity, strength, and balance. There are many strategies to cultivate positive emotional states and reduce the grip of negative ones. Practices such as gratitude, mindfulness, deep breathing, physical movement, and uplifting rituals can elevate your emotional baseline. Asking empowering questions such as, "What can I learn from this?" or "What is great about this moment?" can reframe your perspective and shift your emotional energy. Choosing your environment wisely, what you read, watch, listen to, and who you surround yourself with also has a profound impact on your emotional state. By intentionally engaging in habits that nurture positive emotions, you set the tone for a life of greater peace, fulfillment, and purpose. Ultimately, the power of emotion lies in its capacity to influence not just how we feel in the moment, but who we become over time. Our habitual emotional states carve the path of our destiny. A person who consistently cultivates joy, gratitude, and love is likely to live a life marked by meaning and impact. A person consumed by resentment or fear may find themselves trapped in cycles of conflict and stagnation. The emotional patterns we feed daily become the architecture of our lives. They shape the energy we bring to our actions, the way we relate to others, and the legacy we leave behind. In the grand scheme of things, emotional mastery is not a luxury, it's a necessity for a meaningful life. We may not always have control over the events of our lives, but we always have the power to shape our emotional response. By developing the ability to generate positive emotions and navigate through the negative ones with grace, we create a life not just of external success, but of inner peace and true fulfillment. Emotions are not just a reflection of life, they are the creators of it. Therefore, if we want to enhance the quality of our lives, we must begin by elevating the quality of our emotions. Emotions are often seen as reactions to the world around us, responses to events, people, or circumstances seemingly beyond our control. Many people live their lives believing that how they feel is dictated by what happens to them, as if emotions are merely outcomes of external triggers. While it is true that experiences can influence how we feel, the deeper truth is far more empowering. We are the true source of our emotions. The ability to create, change, and influence our emotional state lies within us. This recognition shifts us from being passive recipients of life's experiences to active creators of our inner world. Understanding that we are the source of our emotions begins with acknowledging the internal processes that generate emotional responses. Emotions are not just random occurrences, they are the result of how we interpret and give meaning to the events in our lives. Two people can face the exact same situation and yet experience completely different emotions. One may feel anger while the other feels understanding. One may be filled with fear while another feels excitement. What causes this difference is not the situation itself, but the interpretation of it. The stories we tell ourselves, the beliefs we hold, and the focus we choose all contribute to the emotions we experience. The meaning we attach to events is often based on past experiences, learned behaviors, and our mental conditioning. If someone has learned to associate failure with shame, they may feel devastated by a setback. Another person who sees failure as a stepping stone to growth may feel motivated and energized by the same event. In both cases, the event is neutral, but the emotional response is shaped by internal frameworks. This means that if we want to change how we feel, we must change the internal dialogue and associations that lead to those feelings. Being the source of our emotions doesn't mean we deny difficult feelings or pretend to be happy all the time. It means we take responsibility for our emotional experiences. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming ourselves when we feel down or upset. It means recognizing that we have the power to influence how long we stay in those states and how we respond to them. Instead of saying, "They made me angry," we can say, "I responded with anger to what they did." This subtle shift reclaims our power and opens the door to transformation. One of the most powerful tools for becoming the master of our emotional experience is awareness. When we are aware of our emotions as they arise, we can examine them with curiosity instead of judgment. We can ask ourselves what triggered the emotion, what meaning we attach to the situation, and whether that meaning truly serves us. This process helps us uncover unconscious patterns and replace them with intentional choices. Awareness allows us to pause, reflect, and redirect our emotional energy in a way that aligns with our values and desired outcomes. Another crucial element in being the source of our emotions is the ability to change our physiology. Emotions are not just mental, they are physical experiences. Our posture, breathing, facial expressions, and level of movement all influence how we feel. For example, slouching, shallow breathing, and a downcast gaze can reinforce feelings of sadness or fatigue, while standing tall, breathing deeply, and smiling can generate feelings of confidence and joy. By consciously shifting our physical state, we can shift our emotional state. This isn't about faking feelings, but about activating the body's natural mechanisms for emotional regulation. Language also plays a significant role in emotional creation. The words we use to describe our experiences shape how we feel about them. Saying, "I'm devastated," creates a much more intense emotional state than saying, "I'm disappointed." By choosing words that are less extreme or more empowering, we can soften or redirect emotional intensity. This doesn't mean downplaying genuine emotions. It means giving ourselves language that helps us stay resourceful rather than overwhelmed. Language becomes a tool for guiding emotions rather than being at their mercy. Focus is another powerful determinant of emotional experience. Whatever we focus on, we feel. If we focus on what's missing, what's going wrong, or what we can't control, we are likely to feel frustrated or powerless. If we shift our focus to what we're grateful for, what we've learned, or what we can do, we activate emotions of hope, curiosity, and empowerment. Focus is a habit that can be trained, and with consistent practice, we can rewire our minds to default to more supportive emotional patterns. Recognizing ourselves as the source of our emotions also transforms how we interact with others. When we no longer rely on others to make us feel a certain way, whether loved, respected, or valued, we free ourselves from emotional dependency. We begin to take ownership of our emotional needs and fulfill them internally. This doesn't mean we stop caring about connection or feedback, but it does mean we are no longer held hostage by other people's behavior. Our emotional well-being becomes something we generate rather than something we chase. This shift has profound implications for our personal growth, relationships, and overall life satisfaction. When we understand that we are the architects of our emotional landscape, we can design lives that are emotionally rich, resilient, and fulfilling. We can cultivate emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions and the emotions of others. We can become emotionally agile, able to move through feelings with grace and choose empowering responses even in the face of adversity. Being the source of our emotions doesn't eliminate life's challenges, but it gives us the tools to meet those challenges with strength and wisdom. It reminds us that no matter what is happening outside, we have the power to create peace, joy, love, and meaning on the inside. That power is always within us. It just needs to be remembered and exercised. In essence, reclaiming our role as the source of our emotions is one of the most liberating realizations we can have. It means we are not victims of life's chaos, but creators of emotional clarity. It means we are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we choose to interpret and respond to it. It means we hold the keys to our inner experience, and by turning those keys, we unlock a life of deeper presence, greater emotional mastery, and lasting fulfillment. Emotional fitness, much like physical fitness, is not something that is achieved once and then left alone. It requires consistent, intentional, daily conditioning. It is a continuous practice of managing and mastering your emotions to create a stable, empowered, and joyful life. Many people spend countless hours in the gym to sculpt their bodies, yet they neglect the inner work necessary to shape their emotional well-being. Without emotional fitness, even the strongest body or the most successful life can feel empty or unstable. True fulfillment and resilience begin within, and that begins with a daily commitment to emotional conditioning. Our emotions influence every aspect of our lives. They impact the quality of our relationships, the clarity of our decisions, our ability to pursue goals, and the way we show up for others and ourselves. When we are emotionally fit, we can face challenges with composure, respond rather than react, and experience more joy regardless of the circumstances around us. But just like physical strength doesn't appear overnight, emotional strength it's built through repeated practice and the development of emotional habits that support us, especially in difficult moments. Daily emotional conditioning begins with awareness. Being aware of how you're feeling and what triggered those feelings is the foundation. Most people go through life unaware of the emotional patterns that dominate their days. They react automatically without pausing to assess whether their responses are helpful or harmful. Emotional fitness starts by becoming mindful of these patterns. This means checking in with yourself regularly throughout the day. What are you feeling? Where did that emotion come from? Is it serving you? The more often you engage in this kind of internal check-in, the more skilled you become at recognizing and guiding your emotions before they take control. Once awareness is established, the next step is intentional focus. What you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what's missing, what's wrong, or what could go wrong, you will feel fear, frustration, or sadness. But if you shift your focus to what you have, what's going well, and what you can appreciate, you create feelings of gratitude, peace, and joy. Emotional fitness means training your mind daily to focus on what empowers you. It's about choosing to see the opportunity in the challenge, the growth in the setback, and the lesson in the failure. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about shaping your perspective so that you stay mentally and emotionally strong no matter what. Another core element of emotional fitness is language. The words you use, both internally and externally, have a direct impact on your emotional state. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm overwhelmed, this is too much, or nothing ever works out, your emotions will follow that script. But if you shift your language to phrases like, I'm figuring this out, this is a challenge I can handle, or every day I'm getting stronger, your emotional tone changes. Emotional conditioning involves being intentional with your words. Speaking to yourself with compassion, encouragement, and strength trains your nervous system to default to more empowering emotions. Daily physical movement also plays a vital role in emotional fitness. Emotion is closely tied to motion. When you move your body, you shift your energy and state. Exercise, even if it's a short walk or a few minutes of stretching, helps release stress, boost mood, and clear your mind. But beyond formal exercise, your posture, breathing, and facial expressions all influence how you feel. Standing tall, breathing deeply, and smiling can change your emotional state instantly. These small physical practices become powerful emotional tools when repeated consistently. Another key to emotional conditioning is reflection. Taking time each day to review your emotional responses, your wins, and your lessons creates growth. Journaling can be a helpful practice here. Writing down what you felt, why you felt it, and how you responded builds emotional self-awareness and resilience. It also allows you to celebrate progress and recognize patterns you want to change. Over time, this habit strengthens your ability to handle emotional challenges with greater clarity and maturity. One of the most powerful tools for emotional fitness is gratitude. Practicing gratitude daily conditions your mind to look for the good even in the midst of hardship. It shifts your emotional baseline from scarcity to abundance. When you train yourself to find something to be thankful for every day, whether it's a kind word, a lesson learned, or the simple act of being alive, you cultivate emotional resilience. Gratitude grounds you in the present and connects you to what truly matters. It's also important to proactively cultivate empowering emotions. Most people wait for something to make them feel joy, excitement, or love, but emotional fitness is about generating those feelings yourself. This means taking time each day to do things that make you feel alive, listening to music that moves you, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or helping someone else. When you intentionally generate positive emotions, you train your brain to seek them out and sustain them even when life is stressful. Another critical part of daily conditioning is dealing with disempowering emotions when they arise. Emotional fitness doesn't mean never feeling upset, angry, or afraid. It means having the tools to navigate those emotions effectively. When negative emotions surface, the emotionally fit person doesn't suppress them or let them take over. Instead, they pause, identify the emotion, understand the message behind it, and choose a conscious response. This process becomes easier with repetition as you build trust in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Just like with physical training, consistency is more important than intensity. A few minutes each day of focused emotional work is more impactful than a once-in-a-while deep dive. It's the daily practice of choosing your focus, managing your self-talk, moving your body, practicing gratitude, and reflecting on your emotional state that builds emotional strength. And as you become emotionally fit, you'll find that challenges no longer shake you as easily. You'll recover faster from setbacks, connect more deeply with others, and feel a greater sense of peace and purpose in everyday life. In a world filled with distractions, stress, and uncertainty, emotional fitness is not a luxury, it is a necessary. It is the foundation upon which all other areas of life are built. Without emotional control and clarity, even the best strategies, talents, and opportunities can be squandered. But with emotional mastery, even the most difficult circumstances can be turned into fuel for growth. Emotional fitness requires daily conditioning because our emotions are shaped by our repeated patterns, what we think, say, do, and focus on every single day. Ultimately, emotional fitness is a lifelong journey, not a destination. There will be good days and hard days, moments of triumph and moments of challenge. But the more you condition your emotional muscles, the more resilient, empowered, and joyful you become. And just like physical strength, the effort you invest in emotional strength pays dividends that touch every corner of your life. You become the steady center in the storm, the light in the dark, and the leader of your own inner experience. That is the power of daily emotional conditioning. It transforms not just how you feel, but who you become. Emotional mastery is the art of understanding, navigating, and influencing one's emotions with precision and intention. It is not about suppressing feelings or pretending to be positive all the time. Instead, it is about recognizing emotions as valuable signals and learning how to use them constructively rather than being ruled by them. Emotional mastery unlocks real influence because it enables individuals to remain composed in the face of adversity, to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, and to connect authentically with others. It also unlocks fulfillment because it aligns inner peace with outer action, allowing a person to live with purpose and joy even in the midst of challenges. The quality of our lives is largely shaped by the emotions we consistently experience. Some people live in a state of constant anxiety or frustration, while others seem to radiate peace and optimism. The difference lies not in their circumstances, but in their emotional habits. Those who have developed emotional mastery have learned how to shift their internal state regardless of external events. This internal freedom gives them a powerful advantage in both personal and professional arenas. When you are in control of your emotional world, you are not easily derailed. You gain the clarity to make sound decisions, the patience to build lasting relationships, and the strength to pursue your goals with persistence. Real influence begins with self-mastery. Leaders who can regulate their own emotions inspire trust, respect, and confidence in others. Whether it's a parent guiding a child, a teacher inspiring students, or a CEO leading a company, influence starts with the ability to lead oneself. People naturally gravitate toward those who are emotionally centered because such individuals create a sense of safety and stability. Emotional mastery makes it possible to handle conflict with grace, provide encouragement without enabling, and offer empathy without being overwhelmed by someone else's pain. This emotional intelligence allows for deeper connections and greater effectiveness in communication. Moreover, emotions are contagious. The state you're in impacts the people around you. If you enter a room filled with negativity, you'll feel it even if no one speaks. Conversely, someone who brings energy, positivity, and calm into a room has the power to uplift everyone. Emotional mastery gives you the power to be that person. When you choose how to feel, rather than allowing circumstances to dictate your emotions, you create a ripple effect. People feel your energy, and that energy can influence teams, families, and entire organizations. This is not about faking positivity, but about genuinely cultivating empowering emotional states that serve both you and others. Emotional mastery also deepens fulfillment. Many people achieve external success, money, status, achievements, only to feel an inner emptiness. That emptiness stems from not mastering the emotional world. True fulfillment comes from aligning your actions with your values and managing your emotions so they support rather than sabotage your goals. When you learn to generate emotions like gratitude, love, joy, and peace, regardless of the situation, you no longer chase happiness, you create it. That's the heart of fulfillment. The realization that you are not at the mercy of life's highs and lows, but instead you are the author of your own emotional experience. Achieving this mastery does not mean you never feel negative emotions. It means you understand them, respect their messages, and move through them with intention. Fear might show up, but you don't let it control you. Anger might arise, but you process it instead of lashing out. Sadness might visit, but you allow it without drowning in it. Emotional mastery is about being fully human, experiencing the full range of emotions, but choosing how you navigate them. It's about finding strength in vulnerability, clarity in chaos, and purpose in pain. To build emotional mastery, you must become a student of your inner world. It requires awareness of your emotional triggers and patterns. Ask yourself, what tends to upset me? What emotions do I default to when I'm under stress? What thoughts drive those emotions? Once you understand your emotional blueprint, you can begin to rewire it. This involves developing new mental habits, such as reframing situations, asking empowering questions, and focusing on solutions instead of problems. It also involves choosing rituals that elevate your emotional state, whether that's exercise, meditation, journaling, or engaging in meaningful conversation. Another powerful tool for emotional mastery is the ability to direct your focus. What you focus on grows. If you focus on what's missing, you'll feel lack. If you focus on what's present and possible, you'll feel abundance. Mastery comes from consistently shifting your focus to what empowers you. This doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means approaching them from a resourceful state. By focusing on your strengths, your values, and your desired outcomes, you generate emotions that help you overcome obstacles rather than being paralyzed by them. Language also plays a pivotal role. The words you use to describe your experiences shape your emotional reality. Saying, "I'm devastated" versus "I'm a little disappointed" produces vastly different emotional outcomes. Emotional mastery involves upgrading your vocabulary to reflect strength, growth, and resilience. This isn't about sugarcoating reality. It's about speaking in a way that strengthens you. When you use empowering language, you anchor empowering emotions. Equally important is the role of physiology. How you use your body affects how you feel. Posture, breathing, facial expressions, all of these influence your emotional state. Slouching and shallow breathing invite fatigue and sadness, while standing tall and breathing deeply invite confidence and calm. Emotional mastery requires daily conditioning of the body as well as the mind. Simple physical shifts can interrupt negative emotional patterns and install positive ones. Over time, these become second nature. Ultimately, emotional mastery is not just a personal advantage, it's a gift to others. When you bring your best emotional self to your relationships, your work, and your community, you uplift those around you. You become a force of stability in an unstable world. Your ability to stay grounded during storms, to remain hopeful during setbacks, and to bring joy to the everyday becomes your legacy. People remember how you made them feel, and when you master your emotions, you create a legacy of inspiration, connection, and love. Fulfillment and influence are not reserved for the lucky or the exceptional. They are available to anyone willing to do the inner work. Emotional mastery is the bridge between intention and impact, between potential and realization. It allows you to live on your terms, to love without fear, to lead without ego, and to rise above the noise of life. It is a daily discipline, a lifelong journey, and the ultimate key to living a powerful, purposeful life. So as we go forward, I challenge you to shift your definition of success. Let it be based not just on what you achieve, but on how you feel and who you become in the process. Decide today to design your emotional destiny, because in the end, that is the only true success. Thank you.